Well, Carlos is a Catholic journalist and creative producer of the Guardians of Beauty podcast. He joins us today to talk about his work. Carlos, thanks for being with us. How are you doing today?
I'm blessed. Thank you for having me.
Well, hey, Carlos, tell us a bit about your background and what made you decide to launch Guardians of Beauty.
I'm a Catholic journalist and storyteller. And as a missionary disciple, I've been blessed with the gift of communication from the Lord. And so last year, when the world was carpet bombed by the pandemic, I felt that there was something that I needed to do. So in my prayer life, I ask usually two questions. And the first one is, Lord, what are you asking of me? And the second one is, what am I going to do about it? So in listening to him in prayer, what came to me was this idea of this world, which is so disordered at times. And I think the virus is a kind of classic example of that. It needed some order. And what do I mean by that? Well, beauty is the splendor of order, basically. And so with that in mind, and I want to quote St. Paul VI here, he said, "The world in which we live needs beauty in order not to sink into despair. It is beauty, like truth, which brings joy to the heart of man, and is that precious fruit which resists the wear and tear of time." And so, inspired by those words, and inspired by the words that he said later, this is from a letter to artists that he wrote in near the end of the Second Vatican Council. He said, "Remember that you are guardians of beauty in the world." So as someone who's creative, I felt this call to kind of bring beauty. And so that kind of sums up why I wanted to create a Catholic variety show. I think in everyone who's been going through the pandemic, being entertained is good, but also pointing to Christ through the concept of beauty, through poems and different content like that is something that I think would be worthwhile to many people's hearts and souls.
Carlos, I remember meeting you first in Lansing at a Faith Catholic event. It's great to see you again. And when I think of Catholic variety, I think of like the Donnie and Marie Osmond show from way, way back. It's a pretty unique format. What made you choose it as a way to be communicative in a very Catholic way?
That's a great question, Father. And so because I'm a storyteller and because I'm also a playwright, I like creativity, and I like people who write poems and spoken word art, who are spoken word artists. And so I decided that this is something that could be a good venue, because in searching for different podcasts out there, kind of looking at the lay of the land, I noticed that no one is really doing that. So I thought that being kind of special in that landscape, I thought it would be important to toss that into the ring, so to speak, and see what happens. And I think that what happens through art, it moves people, right? And so I felt like adding that to the mix is something that we need in today's world.
Can you tell me a little bit, Carlos, about the format then? So you do the podcast, go from there. You say, hello, welcome, and then what happens?
Yeah, it's another great question. So each episode is geared towards a particular virtue. And as we all know, virtue is a habitual and firm disposition to do the good. And I think these are something that we need to understand and deepen our knowledge about and create those kind of habits. This world needs that kind of goodness. And so I thought that was a good way to structure the show. So with that in mind, the first episode deals with hope, the virtue of hope. And so what I did was I put out a call. I reached out to various Catholic universities around the country and around the world, to be quite frank. And my hope was to get young voices, Gen Z and millennial voices in there, and to ask them to produce stuff. Several people did step forward, but honestly, the way I found the content was just doing internet searches, reaching out to people who I thought had talent, and then asking them, essentially activating them to contribute stuff. So, for example, I discovered a youth minister in New Hampshire who has a worship band there, and they had a song that not a lot of people had heard before. And I thought, wow, that could be an interesting way to kind of give them a wider exposure. I found a Catholic author, Julie Overlease in the Midwest, who had written this book, Hope Upon Impact, that was based upon her daughter was involved in a tragic accident. The book kind of charted how the family relied on faith and hope. So she offered a short reflection on what hope meant to her. So by doing that, by asking for poems, several Sisters of Life contributed poems. By being entertaining, my hope is that people can be moved to understand hope and obviously get hope in their lives.
And hope and beauty are in short supply, and we're so glad that you focused in on those. And it's been so great to have you with us, Carlos, and great to see you again. We really appreciate your presence with us and the work that you're doing.
Carlos,
thank you so much.
Where can people find out more about Guardians of Beauty and listen to the first episode?
Sure. Our website is gobeautypodcast.wordpress.com.
Very good. Carlos, it was a pleasure having you today. Thanks for joining us, and have a great day and stay safe.
God bless you guys.
God bless you too. Thank you.